What's going on, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People podcast. My name is Kyle Smith. I am joined by Adam Carlson. How are you, sir?
Heyo. I'm doing all right, but I do have a request for anyone who is listening on Spotify. If you could go and leave us a Spotify ranking. Right now, we don't have one, so you could be the first. Please go and rate our show over on Spotify.
That's a good one, Adam. We have a bunch of reviews on Apple Podcasts, but we don't have anything on Spotify. You noticed that last week. It's a good catch.
Good time to plug our stuff right up here up front, too, if you're on, like we said, Apple Podcasts.
Well, I wanted to get it out there before I forgot because I know my memory is bad.
Yeah, well, we don't usually do this. We probably should if we were any sort of formulaic, follow the algorithm, do the stats show, which we are not. While we're here, we have eyes early on or people listening later. Please like and subscribe. YouTube is my first recommendation. Hit the subscribe button. If you have the YouTube app on your phone like I do, you will get notifications when we go live. Try to schedule these in advance so you have advance notice to kind of plan around. But as Adam said, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Podomatic, Spotify, wherever you're listening to this at, Facebook, drop a comment, leave a review, and let us know. And I promise you, if you leave a bad review, you won't hurt our feelings. There are already some out there, and they're funny to look back on 5-6 years ago. But
your background, Kyle Smith, is very unprofessional.
It's unprofessional to do a podcast from home and not have some sort of backdrop. That is correct. And that's Kyle West informing me that I'm being let go on the show today. Thank you very much.
We got yelled at one time for swearing too much as well, too. Which, you know, I get. Sometimes we get a little worked up. But hey, it is football, and we're very passionate about our team.
One of my favorite comments that we've gotten in our review was that we don't know how to pronounce players' names. And it was right when Adam Thielen was getting popular. And I believe it was Paul Allen who said Thielen on a broadcast.
Yeah.
And since then, after that, me and Kyle West for like about a year were saying Thielen, just making fun of him, and people got mad.
Oh,
they were very upset.
We do things to entertain ourselves, and that was one of them.
I mean, when you're in this deep doing a show every week, you got to do something to keep yourself entertained.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know, speaking of that, I laugh because it makes me think of all the people who do content every day. Like at first it comes like Pat McAfee because he's most, I don't know, relatable and a new guy these days doing it. And he's got a whole crew, and the people, all of his crew have people behind them. There's probably like 30 people that show keeps around to keep running. But just to do one a week, I won't say it's like exhausting. It's fun. It's actually like, you know, going to watch a game with your friends. But I could not imagine people doing this every day and trying to find something original to say. I think that's the wildest thing for me.
I also don't want to be one of those people that are like constantly refreshing on X to get any data and put up a 10-minute episode saying, you know, okay, well, you know, JOSHUA Dobbs is going to be starting our quarterback next week. What can we expect? What does this mean for Jaron Hall? You know, those kind of episodes, they're cool and everything, but I like the fact that we wait and just talk about it for an extended amount of time instead of just little quick hits where we're just talking to a camera. Now we can talk to people in chat, which I like a lot more.
Right, and you had a good comment up from the Facebook page. What was it, John, who I'm not sure I've seen comment before, so thank you for commenting. He asked if we're getting some 2017 Case Keenum vibes from what we've seen yesterday out of Josh Dobbs and with this current Vikings team. I don't know yet, but boy, oh boy, they're going to need some of that lightning in a bottle if they plan on winning down the stretch. What I will say is that one of my big takeaways from this game, Kevin O'Connell is a very quarterback-friendly head coach. He seems to have the ability to understand what these players need to succeed. And hey, he's a former quarterback, so that definitely helps him in that regard. But he is our quarterback whisperer. He is able to put players in a position to succeed and help them on the field. And so that is my big takeaway. And that also speaks really positively for this team drafting a top 10 future franchise quarterback, because I believe we finally have the right coach to help that player progress and mature along. So that was my big takeaway from this.
So I got to ask you guys, what do you guys call the new quarterback? Do you call him Joshua Dobbs, Josh Dobbs, or the Pastronaut?
Well, I really like the Pasternaut. That was a really good pun that you found there. I don't know, Josh Dobbs. That's just what I've been calling him.
I don't know that I've ever called any of my friends named Joshua. I can't think of one
That's too
time I've done
official.
that. And
My nephew's
that's
name is Joshua, and he prefers Joshua.
now, if someone
When, you know,
told
in
me
some
that and
settings.
corrected me, that'd be fine. I would try my best, but it seems more like when you say the full name, like Matt, I don't say Matthew unless it's that, that's just
You
what
say
they're called.
Tuatunga?
No, it's Tua. That's not just because I'm a white guy who can't pronounce names. It's shorter and more abbreviated. Like Kyle said, I think when you say Joshua, I feel like I'm a mother calling my son into the
Now,
room.
do you say Cam Bynum or Cameron Bynum?
Cam? Anything
Cam.
short. Yep.
Whoa, Cam.
Josh Dobbs. I knew about him from Tennessee. I have some friends that are volunteer fans. He's got a unique story of bouncing around the league. I think it's hilarious in the most ironic and not funny way that he just got his stuff moved into his home into Arizona less than 2 weeks ago, and he gets traded. And
life in the NFL, man.
Hey, you know what?
Nothing's permanent.
Nothing is permanent. You're right. And, it speaks to just how smart and athletic this guy really is. I don't think he's going to come in and take over as our starting quarterback for the foreseeable, 3 or 4 years for the future. I still think the Vikings are going to try to find a way to get Kirk Cousins back for a last hurrah. They may draft a quarterback early in first and second round next year.
Do you see Dobbs as a short-term answer this season, though? Or do you see them going back to Hall or maybe Mullins? Or do you think Dobbs might be the guy?
I like what I've seen from Hall. I think Dobbs kind of looks like he might be the guy. There were a couple things that he did pretty well. He's got a really nice pump fake that I like from him. That's one of my favorite qualities in a quarterback. When you can hit that pump fake and freeze a defense and either scramble out or use that to, find another open receiver down the field, that's a big asset. And something I've never thought Kirk is really that good at. So I like seeing that from Dobbs. He's got good mobility as well, too.
It's weird how different quarterbacks can have those different things they excel at. Like you said, the pump fake there. Kirk Cousins is a master of the play action.
He really is. Yep.
So it's like every quarterback has things they're better at than others. And although Dobbs doesn't have the best accuracy all the time, he can keep plays alive with his feet and make good decisions, as we saw on Sunday when he completed 20 of his 30 passes. He looked to Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson a multiple number of times that game instead of some of the other targets.
Adam, to answer your question, this is where I think my brain goes to make it make the most sense. I think Joshua Dobbs, I think he looks better as a quarterback than Nick Mullins. I think Nick Mullins is a very serviceable, would be sought after in the league, back up to at least a handful of teams. I think he looks slightly better than him because he's more athletic. I think they have about the same arm. He's got a good arm. He's smart. And here's the thing, and this is not to poo-poo on Jaron Hall. We are back to on a lesser level because we all know that Kirk is better than all three of these guys. We're in a good quarterback situation because Nick Mullins will come off IR. Jaron Hall will pass the concussion test either this week or next. Now you're back to having a multitude of guys.
And Chad Mannion's still on the practice squad.
Oh, see?
He is. It's the Vikings have an interesting situation, like you said, Smith. I don't know if the long-term answer at the quarterback position is on the roster right now. I'm going to say no, and that's not to knock Hall or Dobbs. I would love one of those guys to be our future. Probably not, but they have a smattering of players right now that, like, if you draft that top 10 potential franchise quarterback, you've got guys who can compete and be that backup quarterback. You've got guys with enough experience to where they can help out and be that veteran presence. Like, you have players on the roster who can help contribute. And that's a hell of a lot more than what this team has had previously.
I am getting more and more on the Michael Penix Jr. hype train. He looked really good this weekend. And this quarterback class is so deep that I don't think there's a lot of guys you could really go wrong with.
Oh, we'll find a way. It's Minnesota.
Well, according to Pro Football Focus, so okay, I got to go back because I get frustrated at myself when I don't get it out in time. Answering Adam's question, yes, I think that Josh Dobbs for the rest of the year is the quarterback that will go as QB1 with Kirk out. and then Mullins, and then Hall. And I say that not to poo-poo on Hall, but he wasn't beating Nick Mullins in practice before. The only reason he was getting the nod this week is because we're down to him as, hey, you're in the front of the line now. I think all of these guys, they know this, and this is not a slight on them. This is just reality. I don't think they are Kirk Cousins' level of NFL quarterback play.
No.
But now we have three guys who are in the same tier-ish or two tiers, close together.
Yeah,
and they all do different things very well. And it's not oh, shit. Like this weekend, if Josh Dobbs would have went down, there would have been the ultimate, oh, shit. But now.
Well, Cam Akers was the emergency quarterback. If something would have happened with Dobbs. And when Cam Akers went down, the emergency quarterback was the defensive lineman, Tonga.
Did you hear what Kevin O'Connell said in his press conference when he was asked about what would have happened? He jokingly said that he would have had to look for a pair of shoulder pads for himself to go out there on the field. And then they asked him, no, seriously, what would you do in that situation? And obviously he didn't want to hey, this is what we would do. I'm going to tell every team in the NFL our game plan. But he was like, we probably would have had to look at a receiver or one of the other active running backs in the backfield at that point. And he was like, thankfully, it did not have to come to that.
So while I mentioned Cam Akers, it was confirmed that he ruptured his Achilles tendon on Sunday. So now he will miss the rest of the season. And it is hard to know what Minnesota is going to do because now he was part of a major committee with Madison. They were close to getting an equal split at times. And now it's Madison. And then you got Ty Chandler and Kenny Wangwu. And neither of those guys have really been part of the offense at all.
I think you'll see more of those two you mentioned that we haven't seen a lot of. The only option out there that is viable for the Vikings, in
Adrian Peterson,
humble, honest opinion, is not Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
It's Myles Gaskin. They talked to him earlier in the year and they signed him for a couple of days before.
He's on the Rams active roster, I believe.
Well, that's out the window, and I didn't do my research, and I'm a terrible producer. So
they might be able to poach Leonard Fournette from the Rams or from the Bills practice squad.
I mean, I would take a flyer on Leonard Fournette, but
have you seen some of the pictures of him at camp there?
Yeah.
He is built, man. He has not been missing.
I don't get too much into discussing the male anatomy on this show, but I'll tell you the two guys I've seen that have legs like that are Leonard Fournette and what's his name from the Packers, the running back. Not Aaron Jones, the other guy.
Oh, man, he's on my fantasy team, too.
Anyway,
I watch his Twitch streams all the time.
They've got some tree trunks for legs, and it's unreal. I bet they squat a lot. But I don't know. James Robinson, A.J. Dillon.
There we go, A.J. Dillon. That's it.
James Robinson got released from Green Bay. I mean, you got to make an inquiry about somebody.
Do we all kind of agree that Madison has kind of squandered his opportunity here in Minnesota, and that
they have to work a committee with him? I don't see Minnesota succeeding at all in the run game with him as the featured number one.
Yeah, the primary running back cannot be Alexander Madison. I have voiced my opinion, and I hate doing this because this will be on a server forever. Alexander Madison, I don't have anything against you. I know you've had a rough year with people talking shit, saying horrible things to you. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying any of those things, but it ain't cutting it, my man. It's just not.
I do think Madison can fill a role in this Vikings offense, but what they're asking him to do right now seems like a bit much.
I've wondered a bit why they haven't used. Why haven't they used more CJ Ham? He was a converted running back into fullback. Why not give him some more touches?
They gave up on Ty Chandler real quick.
I thought that the Jets said they were trying to get rid of Dalvin Cook. I think they were looking for trade capital, and they didn't get that.
Cook,
for some reason,
took his agent and approached the staff of the Jets to try to get traded and couldn't get anything worked out.
That sucks because if he would have been let go, that would have been a perfect opportunity to come back on some cheap money and try to get the band together one last time, as they say.
But, who else in free agency is a running back that people might know the name of? David Johnson.
Yeah.
Fantasy football superstar David Johnson.
Kind of like when we talked about a couple weeks ago when Kirk went down, that list of names that are out there are not very good. It's not very good at running back either. A lot of athletes in the world, but it takes a special skill to play in the NFL, and then to do it even better, it gets smaller and smaller in the percentage. But I think the Vikings would be doing a disservice if they didn't at least check on some names.
They have to. They have to.
You got to at least try, but this just, to me, and Adam, you said it perfectly. Alexander Madison can't be the featured back in this. He can't take 60% of the snaps. I think they need to see what they have. And we've said this to no end, blue in the face this season at least. See what you have in the other guys. We have Dwayne McBride somewhere. Activate him and bring him up. I don't care.
I think he's a free agent.
Well, go get him if he's not, because you drafted him. So something out there.
Their running back room, I was hoping we were not going to be in a position where you felt like the team has to spend a high draft pick on a running back this coming year. But it's been a pretty poor performance from the people, the committee that they have. You almost have to wonder if we're looking at drafting another high running back in Minnesota, because it's not been good this year.
Actually, I think McBride is on the practice squad. Let me take another quick look here. I do think that, I know he got released for cuts, but they may have brought him back to the practice squad.
Ryan in the chat says that he's on the practice squad.
I will take a time to ask anyone who's not going to pick Josh Dobbs. If you have a game ball from yesterday, someone you're very high on, please do that. I'm going to start, and I'm not picking anyone from the Minnesota Vikings or the Atlanta Falcons. My game ball of the weekend
illegal.
goes,
you can't do that.
I'm doing it right now. My game ball is going to the Texans running back, Dare Ogunbowale. Not only did he kick a field goal as a running back and make it in an NFL game where they had a shootout with the Bucs and won by, I think, a field goal, he did kickoffs. What happened there? That is insane. And I just feel so giddy and happy and childlike in enjoyment and pure joy for this guy. That is absurd that had to happen. Speaking of kickers, I noticed something yesterday, and this has nothing to do. This isn't a game ball donkey thing. This is just a random statement. Did you guys watch how Younghoe Koo kicks? Because a lot of kickers will line up and they'll do 1 and 2 steps off.
Right.
He only does 1, and he has a very straight line approach, and he is very good at his job. Very good. So I noticed that yesterday.
Season.
I noticed that yesterday. I was like, oh, you don't take the full 2 steps to the left, because that's what I would try to mimic. If they're like, hey, Kyle, will you kick field goal? I'm like, I'm going to botch this, but I'm going to look like I know what I'm doing because I watch these guys. I just wanted to throw that out there. But I think we all agree.
It's a good observation.
Yeah, check it out on the replay. It glared out to me. I was like, he's only taking 1 step. Oh, he's like drilling this. Okay, cool. But I think we can all agree Josh Dobbs did something pretty insane yesterday coming in. Basically, it was reported to death the last 24 hours. He didn't get to practice with the team because they were giving Jaron Hall all the reps. They're going on the sideline, getting snap counts ready. And it was, everything that could have went wrong didn't, and it should have, but somehow he willed his athletic ability and his accuracy into the Vikings beating a decent Atlanta squad. We talked about this last week. Atlanta's not a slouch. I think they have
they're not good.
Yeah, but I disagree, man. I think they're 1 win less than us.
If Atlanta had been an average team on Sunday, Minnesota would not have won that game.
Well, that's true, but we also beat the 49ers, and I still believe they're way better than we are. It's just one game. They have the 6th best defense. They have a great one. If they had a quarterback, they'd be kind of legit.
You see Atlanta starting Heineke again next week?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It does? How so?
Yeah. He's getting paid $14 million, and Desmond Ridder sucks.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be on the team next year. If they do, we'll keep him as a backup. This is why, oh my God, I've had this.
Future Minnesota Viking, Desmond Ridder.
I had a lot of people. First of all, let me go on a rant. I got into an argument, which I've gotten into less of them this year, but I got into an argument with a Case Keenum apologist 6 years later this weekend. And I'm like, you're just dumb. And if you can't be on board like the rest of us, I can't help you. It's one of those, like, you can lead a horse to water, can't make it drink kind of deal. Like, you're just stupid. I can't help you there. But
I got a fun question for you, Smith.
Yeah.
Did the Carolina Panthers take the wrong quarterback number 1 overall?
No, and I'll tell you why. I was at a Panthers watch party last night here in Richmond. A couple of my friends from the Charlotte area live here that I've known for a long time. And we had already won. I wore this there. I was very happy. They were all like, oh my God, Josh Dobbs. It was so cool. I think that any one of those rookies that would have stepped in would be performing pretty poorly because y'all know we love this guy. When your leading receiver is Adam Thielen at 32 years old, and you only have a handful of players that I can even mention that are worth a shit, like Brian Burns, Jeremy Chinn's a pretty good safety. None of their offensive line is good.
Chuba Hubbard. Woo.
I like him, but he has the most B- C+ cast, and then they just threw him out there. I'm like, you have a veteran. Throw him out there for a year and not let this kid get a night. He's getting no time to throw. I don't think anyone would be in a good situation in Carolina.
Yeah, because the national media are really spreading that narrative of that, Stroud is definitely the better of the quarterbacks. And I still think it's way too early to make that kind of determination. And
correct.
That's ridiculous. I mean,
Stroud's been looking amazing.
How many games did Peyton Manning win his rookie year with the Colts?
I just saw someone
not very many
yesterday too make a comparison between the start that Peyton Manning had and the start that Jordan Love has. And that if you were to move on from Jordan Love right now, that you'd be moving on from Peyton Manning.
Well, the difference there is he's had 3 years to learn from a Hall of Famer, and Peyton Manning did not. So
I mean,
that's context that we need for that, not for you, Adam. I'm yelling at whatever dumbass compared Jordan Love to Peyton Manning.
We're all old men in the room in terms of some of this stuff, what people talk about online. Remember the comparisons that were legitimate comparisons that people made, where it was like, here's Brett Favre's first 10 games. Here's Christian Ponder's first 10 games as a pro. Christian Ponder is statistically better than what Brett Favre was. Like, you can make up any comparison to
People
make a
say
player
numbers
look
don't
good.
lie, but boy, they can be adjusted to make things look the way you want them to.
100%.
Well, the context that we're missing there, and you guys know this, is when you compare Christian Ponder through 10 games, those are his only 10 games. I want to see his 10 worst games and then compare them to Brett Favre. I'm sure they'll be similar too, but that big chunk in the middle kind of matters because there was 2 Super Bowl trips, 3 MVPs, a Super Bowl victory.
Oh, Smith will know this. Which analyst is it that says take the best game a quarterback has, throw it out, take the worst game a quarterback has, throw it out, and then average out the rest of the games? Which one is that?
Cowherd.
It's smart.
Colin Cowherd. It's a good. They did it for Cam Newton, and they compared him, with Matt Ryan. They both have MVP seasons. They both made the Super Bowl and lost. You want to see what does the bulk tell you? But if they haven't had the bulk yet, you can't make that. And that's why I agree with both of you. Jared Goff, I forget what program he was on recently, but they asked him to say, "What do you think the right amount of time is to judge a quarterback?" And he said 3 seasons. I 100% agree with that. You made the investment already. You might as well get as much. Squeeze the pennies out of him now before he breaks your bank, or if you want to trade him, whatever. 3 seasons is absolutely fair because a lot of things can change in 3 seasons. But this is the world we live in now, man. If you suck for 3 games, you should be fired, and that's how everybody thinks. Even though
everybody's getting a lot more impatient very quickly.
Yeah. I feel bad to answer your question, Adam. I feel bad for Bryce Young. I think he's talented.
He has been put in a really tough situation.
I just don't think that team is set up to have anyone succeed. And the worst thing you can do for a rookie quarterback is to rush him in any sense of the word, mentally, physically. And that offensive line's not very good. And the thing that sucks for the Panthers, I know this isn't a Panthers podcast, but if I had to pick a team for my second, which I don't do that, I'm pretty close to home. I hear a lot of the chatter. That owner is just like Jerry Jones, and he needs to fuck right off and get out of everyone's cookie jar because he is ruining all of that. And he's one of those guys that wants to be involved. And I'd be like, just go sail the seas on your yacht, man. We will take care of the football things. You know nothing about this. But you can't say that to an owner who's paying you money. So that sucks. I'm glad the Vikings don't do that. They're involved enough, but they step back and say, football's good for you.
There have been times that the Wilfs have flirted with that kind of bullshit. Remember the triangle of power, Adam?
I do, and I also remember about how yesterday I was watching people interview Rick Spielman talking about the upcoming quarterback class, and the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, this guy drafted Christian Ponder, why are we listening?
Did you hear that, what was the thing? Spielman said that he doesn't have any interest in like being a general manager for another team right now.
I saw
And
Spillman say that the only quarterback the most recent quarterback that went number one that he would have considered taking number one overall over Caleb Williams was Andrew Luck.
I mean, that's a safe bet now.
Yeah.
Now that you look at how good he was before he got beat up.
Yeah.
I hate that shit so much. Well, I would have taken Patrick Mahomes one overall. Sure, you would have. That's why 11 other teams passed on him. Sure, you would have.
I knew that Brock
funny.
Purdy. I've seen that come up a couple times too. Well, I knew that Brock Purdy. I had Brock Purdy on my mock draft going in like the 4th round because I knew, motherfucker, I'm an Iowa State fan. Like, yeah, we were all like, yeah, Brock Purdy's pretty good. Did I think he would be as good as what he is? No, no one did. It's an anomaly.
Let me tell you what hurts my heart, and then we'll talk about the actual game here and do some fun stuff. I saw the PF, and granted, right now, which is very interesting, if the season ended today, the Vikings would be the 7th seed, and guess who we would be going to at
Is
the
it
2
still
seed?
Detroit?
Detroit Lions, dude, a divisional wild card, which we are
I love it.
hit or miss in sometimes in the history of this franchise. But
you want to know something kind of fun?
Yeah,
the Vikings have 8 games left this season, and half of them are against teams in the NFC North.
I was going to say, we haven't even played Detroit yet this year, have we?
We play them the last 3 weeks they're apart. Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
That's right.
Then Green Bay at home, which is great. That's a night game. And then at Detroit on January 7th. And here, actually, I pulled the schedule up, Adam. I'm glad you said that. There are 8 games. All of these are winnable games. None of these scream at me like we did at the beginning of the season, like, oh, we got to go to Philly.
Cincy's going to be rough.
Cincy in Cincinnati in December is going to be tough because they are heating up. I don't expect them to win that game. But I'll give you the rundown now that we brought it up. Here's the last remaining games of the Vikings
next
season.
Next week is the Saints, right?
The Saints in Minnesota, November 19th at Denver. A night game in Minnesota on the 27th of November. That will be the Bears at home.
By the way, that primetime game will not be flexed. So that will be on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. December 10th, that looks like a long gap. So I guess the bye week is after the Bears.
Yes.
December 10th, they're in Las Vegas at the Raiders, 4:05 p.m. Eastern.
The Raiders are a really well-run organization. They're going to be tough.
Yeah, now that they've gotten rid of Diet New England, I think they might be on a run.
I was just gonna say we get them after they fired their head coach, and now they'll be rallying around the new guy, and they'll actually be playing tough football instead of the clown show that they had going on before.
Dude, Max Crosby is a fucking beast. He is very, very good at his job. Yeah.
Can they remember they have Devontae Adams?
No. Yeah, so December 10th in Las Vegas, December 17th in Cincinnati, and then 2 home games, back-to-back divisional games. Christmas Eve, 1 p.m. against the Lions. New Year's Eve, 8:20 p.m. in Minnesota versus Green Bay, and then finishing out the season at Detroit. I would say they have a good, strong possibility to win 5 of their last 8 games. I want to err on the side of caution because I do think Cincinnati and Detroit are better than this team.
I can see Detroit and Minnesota splitting.
Yeah, I wanted to say 6, but I'll give 5 just to err on the side of caution. And to think from where we were, especially me, 3 games into the season, if they come out of this season with double-digit wins, he's got to be coach of the year. I don't care what anybody else does.
The Minnesota Vikings are undefeated when they don't have Justin Jefferson this season. Is that
trade him? Trade him. Get him out of here. He's a cancer. Get him out of here. I don't want him anymore. I've seen that so much lately, and I want to murder people. Shut up. Well, we can't afford to pay, blah, blah, blah. I heard this today on Facebook. We already have his replacement. I'm like, well, what are you going to do in 3 years when Addison wants to get paid? The kid said on draft night, let's get paid. What are you going to do if he goes down? What are you going to do if Addison gets hurt? He's not a big dude like Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson's he's not freaking.
I mean, come on, guys.
DK Metcalf.
One of the greatest offenses the Vikings have ever fielded. We had Randy Moss and Chris Carter, and you know, I'm not saying that Addison is as good as what Chris Carter was. He's nowhere nowhere near that level yet. He hasn't played long enough to put him in that category, but he's also shown to be a pretty darn good up-and-coming receiver. Why would you not want to have Jefferson and Addison and T.J. Hawkinson on the field
I'm gonna tell you what
at
it
the
is.
same time?
I'm gonna say this
Because people are
well, they're fucking dumb is one. You're just not smart. You're unintelligent. You're stupid. All the
Are
things
we
I
just
can
not
say.
used to having nice things?
yes.
That too. There's a percentage of that. But here's the problem: people don't understand football for what it really is. The salary cap goes up, which means that big money that you said. It's so funny that these guys think they're like, oh, you're going to pay him quarterback money. Yeah, bro. 30 years ago, they made what I make.
Yeah. So
Like the guys on the practice squad make less than what I make at my job right now 30 years ago.
here's the
money's going
plan.
to go up.
I mean, the plan is that you're going to pay Justin Jefferson a hefty sum of money,
yeah.
and you're probably going to draft a young quarterback that you believe in, that you can play with, who's going to be dirt ass cheap for 4 or 5 years,
Yeah,
and
just
that
trade for
helps.
Daniel Jones.
Yep,
His
and
health
that
isn't
helps.
good.
No, that helps you pad out that hit a little bit.
Well, the comment today was Darisaw, O'Neal, Hawkinson, JJ, and then Cousins. They're like, you can't keep all of them. And Hunter. And I
Well,
said,
O'Neal's
you're
no
not
spring.
going to keep all those people anyway. So what's the point of bringing all of them up?
O'Neal's no spring chicken, so I don't think he's going to
Well, O'Neal's
command.
extension is done, right?
That's the first thing I said. Well, this guy's gotten paid. Hawkinson just got paid. So those two you can take out. You have Hunter, Cousins, Jefferson, and Darisaw. It's like, you don't think that we can lose one of those players and still
Hunter
be
is-
able to sign the three?
I mean,
Hunter's gone.
Daniil Hunter is great, but assuming we've got another season or two of Brian Flores,
Hunter doesn't sound like he wants to come back.
yeah, I'm a little okay
Well,
with moving on from him.
Yes, he's 29
Right?
years old.
And he's
I
going to
love
get a
that.
big payday when he hits free
Yes.
agency.
He's going to
Big.
go somewhere like Cincinnati or Buffalo, and
Philly.
he's going to flourish.
Philadelphia.
Don't
I mean,
say that. God, I hope that city burns to the fucking ground. God, I hate them so much. He'll go somewhere like that, get paid, he'll flourish, he'll do what he does, and it's like, dude, that leaves 3 people that we mentioned, and they're going to pay all 3 of those guys.
Yeah,
I hated that today, but they were saying, oh, you can't pay him this. I got to say it because I can talk about this because I am a white dude. It's always the old white guys that have no fucking idea because they're like, well, this is the same crowd too, and I want to go on public record so they can stay on a server for humanity after I'm gone. These guys can do your job with 1 year of training. You will never run a 4.3. You will never throw a ball 60 yards.
well,
You'll never
trained
run
hard,
routes. No, Kyle.
I trained hard and ate.
No, none of us will. And it makes me laugh so hard. They're like, these guys don't get our teachers don't get paid enough. It's like the teachers aren't in a fucking $800 billion business. Learn math. It's not that hard. I hate it so much. But back to the conversation of it. Yes, Justin Jefferson, he is going to get tested this week. The doctors are going to look and say, hey, look, how does it feel? Make it no mistake. If he is not absolutely 100%, the Vikings are not rushing him back.
Right.
Correct.
They're not going to.
Well, him and Mullins are both eligible to return this week.
We'll see who gets the nod. Jefferson looks like
I think they already said that Jefferson's not correct. I thought I read that somewhere. That
I have not
gonna
seen
be
any medical evaluation on him yet.
Maybe it was just speculation that I was reading, but like you said, Adam, they're
the
not
timeline
going to
was about
rush
4
him.
to 6 weeks. So he might not be ready, and if he isn't, that's okay.
Sorry, Andrew. Stupid people make me angry. I need that on a t-shirt.
But I mean, if you're rolling with like Josh Dobbs, which you probably are for the remainder of the
Right.
season, I mean, how good of an asset would that be for him to be able to be like, hey, maybe you don't 100% know the play call, just lob it up to Justin Jefferson. You'll probably be okay.
This is the stuff here where I wish I could be in the locker room and be a fly on the wall, where they just talk in this very, very new stage of Josh Dobbs being here. And he sits down with him and he goes, what are 5 plays that you absolutely love that you know you can beat in coverage and like always work for you? And I'll have those ready to just throw one up and chunk it to you. And the Jefferson's like, I like this. I can do this. I run this, blah, blah, blah. And then you can feel like, okay, I have 5 security blanket plays during the game where if
Yeah.
we need something, and they're going to talk. That's going to be a conversation this
Do
week.
you think NFL GMs and coaches can like go home and shut off their football minds and not just talk to their wives about football constantly?
No,
I think they can. I think what they do is, think of your mind as like a big, like your cabinet in your kitchen. They have one little section during the season where they have like 1 hour a day where they ask their significant other and their kids what's going on, and you'll be involved. And then the rest are like, all right, I'm going back upstairs because we got Tampa Bay this week.
No, because when I'm at work or when I'm at home, I'm thinking about, I'll catch myself being like, oh, this is what I should do with my section, or I've got this big order coming in on Thursday, and I got to make room for it over here. And if I put this on sale, and this can be my push item, and I like my job, but I'm not passionate about my job. So if someone like Kevin O'Connell, who's super passionate about what he does, he's 100% sitting at home having a conversation with his wife, but also thinking about the Vikings and play calls and roster moves like at the same time. There's no way he's not.
The families of those people have to be so patient and supportive. I can't even imagine it. But Smith was giving away game balls earlier, so I'll throw mine in here, and I'm
half
give
hour
mine to
ago.
Byron Murphy.
Byron Murphy, good choice, man. He was flying around yesterday.
He absolutely was. I mean, the Vikings defense gave up that big screenplay to Jonnu Smith. Otherwise, they did a great job of keeping everything in front of them and, making most tackles. Even Ivan Pace made a couple great sticks, and I am really happy with what I've seen from the Vikings defense so far.
Well, here's the craziest part, Adam, to your point, because I think everyone unanimously is going to pick Josh Dobbs, and rightfully so. So I'm going to go outside the box and pick someone else. But think about yesterday. The first quarter, at the end of the first quarter, it was 3-3. Then it was 11-10. We had a baseball score. It was weird.
I was at work and I messaged you guys. I was like, how? What is going on right now?
Well, what's crazy is they made so many trips because Joshua Dobbs did fumble a couple times. They made so many trips to the red zone and they couldn't capitalize because the defense was just too stingy for them. And on that note of picking players who need a game ball not named Josh Dobbs yesterday, dude, Jordan Hicks played the game of his life yesterday.
Jordan Hicks has been good.
He's been very, very good, right? 11 tackles, 9 of them solo, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass defended, and 1 quarterback hit. He led the team yesterday. Holy shit, he had a game yesterday.
I'm already seeing it kicking around on social media. The fan bases for other teams are saying, Brian Flores was done kind of dirty by Miami when they let him go, and he's doing really well as the D coordinator for the Vikings. Like, we kind of want him as our head coach. Like, I'm hoping that they retain him for at least another season in Minnesota, because you're seeing what he's being able to do with players like Jordan Hicks, who we all we liked him, but he was just kind of a guy underneath Ed Donatel, and you're seeing a really good season out of him. And I attribute that to the play calling and the coordinator up top. He's going to be a strong candidate for a head coaching job after this year. I think for him, it's all going to depend on the situation and whether or not he wants to stick around with the Vikings for another year. I really hope he does. I really want a
even
second
if it's just
year.
For one more, and that way he can have more influence on the draft. And then thinking about post Brian Flores, I don't know that they're going to be like, we have to find somebody who coaches just like him, but at least you'll have a system and players in place, can run this aggressive style defense, and maybe they find somebody else out there.
Can we go the nepotism route? Is there like a Brian Flores Jr.? Like, does he have a kid that we can hire?
I love that. No, I don't think he's like Phillip Rivers and has a whole offense waiting to join the NFL.
No, you know what, though? I do think he probably learned a little bit from his time in Miami. Well, more than a little bit, I'm sure. But I think that he will wait for the right opportunity and not just take the first head coaching job that's presented to him. So there's probably a stronger chance than we think that he will stick around with this team.
Oh, you don't see him coaching the Raiders next year?
Yeah, I don't see him going to the Raiders. I don't see him jumping to one of those shitty bottom-feeding leagues or teams like that.
Andrew has a good point. He said Hicks looked bad under Donatel. I think I'm more in the middle for him. Like, I think with Kyle, he was just kind of a guy. And same thing for Caleb Evans. I didn't see anything special out of him with Donatel. And then he's coming in here and forcing fumbles and having pass defense and break up. I'm like, shit. This guy's
It's still kind
good.
of wild that Hicks wasn't making a ton of money, yet he still took a discount to stay in Minnesota this year. And that's wild to me.
Playing good football, too. Love that.
Raiders are going to go after Harbaugh, right? Jim Harbaugh?
I heard a rumor he was going to be – he's like might be suspended indefinitely.
Yeah, that might be something we have to wait and kind of see what's going on.
Yeah.
That's not good. He'll run back to the NFL if that's the case.
Like I said, Oakland, or not, I will never not be able to call them the Oakland Raiders at this point. Las Vegas Raiders, perfect.
San Diego Chargers.
So are we all going to take Madison for a donkey, or do we have someone else?
For my game ball, I was going to give mine to Kevin O'Connell, because I really think that that's a performance where they really had to rely on him to hold that team together underneath that much adversity. And boy, could you imagine the shit show if like Mike Zimmer would have been your head coach and like, hey, here's a guy who's only had 5 days with the team, come on in and like come be our quarterback. Like that very easily could have been Josh Freeman 2.0 out there for the Vikings. And the fact that O'Connell, I know the fact that Kevin O'Connell was able to hold that together and get this team to rally around it and get a victory out of it. That speaks volume for how he was able to coach and hold this team together. And yes, it was Madison was my donkey.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty easy one.
Yeah.
At halftime, he had negative rushing yards.
Yeah.
It's wild. I said it earlier this season. You guys remember, especially these faithful on the show, like Jonathan and Charlotte and Andrew. You just need 58 or 59 yards a game. You'll have a 1,000-yard season. I don't know that he's going to get 1,000 yards this season.
I don't know.
It's trending in the direction that he's not.
I don't think he's going to get 5 rushing touchdowns.
No.
I don't think
he
so
doesn't
either.
have any right now, right? We only have 2
0
rushing touchdowns. I think
the Vikings have 2 rushing touchdowns on the season, and it's Dobbs and Akers is out. So I mean, the running backs will have none once he's on IR.
Yeah, I'll bet the hard
That's
under
scary.
5 touchdowns and 1,000 yards. That sucks.
It's
I want him
terrible.
to prove me wrong. I would love to eat crow and he comes out and rushes for
Absolutely.
180 yards, but haven't seen it yet. I need more.
I don't think it's a lack of effort or anything like that, but just the execution isn't there, and of course the results aren't there.
100%. I agree with you. Let's go backwards on this since Kyle and I are going to play a game where I look like a dumbass.
I can't wait.
Ryan Wright, 3 punts for 133 yards, 1 in the 20. Greg Joseph, perfect on the day.
So I saw a lot of
2
people
extra
saying that
points.
Ryan Wright had a terrible game punting, and I don't know. I didn't really see that. I thought he did all right.
Well, he only had
that one
3
punt went out
times.
the 20s that could have been a little bit closer to the end zone, but otherwise I don't think it was bad.
He only had to punt 3 times, so that's pretty cool. That's always a good day. Greg Joseph, 3 field goals, 3 for 3, 2 extra points, good. Brandon Powell had 1 punt return for 21 yards. Hell of a catch in the end zone yesterday. Holy shit. Byron Murphy had
Powell had his whole family there to watch too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
So he was super psyched about that.
Damn it, Jonathan, taking my show away from me. No, we're getting there, man. Appreciate that. That's a good little fun fact.
Not only did Dobbs have some really good scrambles that picked up a first down and a touchdown in situations, but he kept a lot of plays alive with his feet, which is something a lot of Vikings fans wanted to see from their quarterback. Kirk Cousins isn't really that guy, but Dobbs has that mobility where he's able to make those extended plays and move around a little bit. And all this was done with Darisaw out and Questenberry in. And Questenberry, he was a free agent. He wasn't even playing football a few years ago. And now he comes back and he's playing some pretty good ball.
I was going to say, you could have given him a game ball for stepping into a tough situation and playing very well.
It was said yesterday in Kevin O'Connell's locker room speech. He gave him a shout out personally. He shouted out a lot of people.
He gave the entire team a game ball.
Yeah.
And he pays
damn
for
well
those.
should. He should. That was a great win.
Yeah.
And this is crazy because 2 weeks ago they're coming off of beating the none of us thought they were going to beat the 49ers. They played the best game all year, and then they come out and they play this. I don't think execution-wise it was a little sloppy on some ends because the pieces just hadn't had enough time to gel. This tops the 49ers game, and it's like this team started 0-3. What are we talking about right now? Are they?
Well, this was an extremely tough game to watch because not only did we have the injury to Jaron Hall and Cam Akers, but we had Josh Metellus get hurt, and there were several other players that had a lot of trouble getting up and moving
TJ
around.
Hawkinson, KJ Osborne. It was no. Don't make a mistake. This is why I give the Falcons props. Number 6 defense. They play hard and physical. They have a little bit of Seattle and that Legion of Boom-esque to them where they're flying around and hitting people. And if they get a quarterback, look out, because I think that would help them unlock whatever Kyle Pitts is supposed to be. They have Drake London, who wasn't there yesterday. Hodges, I think, was their leading guy. He looked pretty damn good, and I've never heard of him in my life. So
Gerald Hodges? That's a throwback from years ago.
Oh, my God. Kaderil Hodge is his name. That's hilarious. Going down we've already talked a little bit about the defense. Jordan Hicks was my game ball, and he was given he was at the top of the list. He had pretty much every stat line outside of a touchdown. Danielle Hunter right below him. The Vikings in total had 1 sack from Jordan Hicks, 6 tackles for loss, which is huge, 4 passes defended, and 3 quarterback hits. And they did get to sack Taylor Heinicke one time. So that's not a bad outing.
Do you know what my favorite stats from yesterday was?
What's that?
Minnesota had 1 penalty accepted against them in this game for 4 yards.
I did see you post that after the game. That is.
What was that? Sorry, I was reading the comment.
Football.
I can't do 2 things at once.
Yeah, Minnesota was only penalized, had 1 penalty accepted against them the whole game for 4 yards.
That's amazing.
4.
Especially with how many people were like not in that game yesterday.
Well, the Vikings had been making a ton of mistakes early in the season, so stuff like this is so nice to see. Like, there were games earlier this year where Minnesota had, 9, 10, 11 penalties accepted against them in a game. And now we're looking at 1.
Well, you got to think, too, like we were talking about it earlier in the year. It's like, is this what preseason is going to do now that we have an extra game? They kind of balance out. So you're just going to have 2 to 3 dog shit games at the beginning of the year, potentially, if you're not absolutely on the same page.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. That's a good point, too, Andrew. Heinicke was getting the ball out fast. I'm happy that he's doing well. And I hate to put another man's business out there, but he's doing well in life.
I remember Heinicke being a better quarterback than that. Am I just remembering poorly, or?
I don't know. I thought he played
a bad game.
I think that it's just how he plays. He does. What I love about him is he said,
the pressure rattling him?
I think that he said, or they mentioned on the show, I play every down like it's my last. So he has that Favre mentality, which is so fun to watch. But I remember him best for Washington. That team, the year the Bucs won the Super Bowl with Brady, gave him the most fits in the playoffs of any team. They damn near lost to them in Washington, having to go on the road because the Bucs didn't win the NFC South that year. But I love Taylor Heinicke because he started with us, had like a cup of coffee with the Panthers. Obviously, he was famous for Washington recently, and now he's in Atlanta. He's just got the best job in the world. He gets called up to play, which is fun. He's been preparing. He's a backup quarterback, and for 2 years in Atlanta, he's making $14 million.
Yep.
Good for you, dude.
And it looks like his family life is real good on Instagram. He looks like he's really enjoying life.
Yep. He's having a blast, and to have that Viking connection, I laughed yesterday. I was like, it's Taylor Heinicke revenge game. But
Cordero Patterson revenge game.
Yeah, I forgot about CPAT being out there. He'd be a great running back for us right now. All right, we're almost there to do this experiment here. Minnesota receivers. Leading receiver yesterday was TJ Hawkinson with 69 yards. Nice. Jordan Addison, 5 for 52. Alexander Madison, 2 for 49 and a touchdown, which I didn't expect to see that stat line. More
yeah, he went out wide and he burnt that defender. Left him in a crisp.
Brandon Powell, 2 receptions, 15 yards, and a clutch touchdown at the end of the game. Clutch throw, too, by Josh Dobbs. But all in all, 236 receiving yards from the quarterback. So not too shabby. 146 yards on the ground, and the leading rusher, Josh Dobbs, at 66.
That has to improve.
Between Madison and Cam Akers, there were 44 and 25 yards, respectfully. So,
yeah, I wrote my article. I thought it was fun that they combined for 69 yards.
Nice. All right, we're gonna do
still
this.
10 less than the two quarterbacks combined for rushing, so that's not good.
Yeah. Josh Dobbs, 20 of 30 off the freaking street. 2 touchdowns, no picks, 101 rating. Can we note before we do this, Kyle? And also Adam too. Yes, Jaron Hall went 5 for 6, 78 yards, marched down the field. Speedy recovery to you, my friend, because you got to think he was like, oh shit, I got all this pressure. Kirk Cousins got hurt. I got to come in and lead the season, and then he gets hurt on the first drive.
Now they confirmed him to have a concussion, right? Or was it just is he still going through protocol?
I think it's confirmed.
Let's see. Aaron Hall.
Because I'll be honest, I have not really seen any real confirmation. It sure looked like he did, but like I said, I don't want to say he had a concussion, but I know that we're putting him through the protocol. Even though
from everything a day ago, NFL.com, Vikings, Sports Illustrated, concussed by violent hit. Vikings quarterback Jaron Hall suffers concussion. So he'll be in concussion protocol if he's not ready this week. Hopefully by the end of next week, he'll be ready for that Denver game to be in the rotation. But yeah. All right,
so
Kyle,
who's
let's
going to stop their Achilles next week?
Oh, no. Yeah. Bad things come in threes. It's coming. Fuck, man.
I thought this would be fun. I thought it would be fun for us to try to replicate how difficult of a situation that Josh Dobbs was put in on Sunday, with him not knowing the playbook essentially and having to get a play call out. So I thought that Kyle Smith could be my quarterback. So you're going to be Josh Dobbs. I'm going to be Kevin O'Connell. I am going to give you a play, and you are going to read it back, and then I am going to explain to you what that play was, because that is what Kevin O'Connell said at times they were doing on the field, is that he would give him a play, you read it, I'm going to explain it to you quick. Now, I think what obviously what helped them a lot is that Josh Dobbs has played in multiple NFL systems, so he probably knows a lot of the language and stuff. Kyle Smith and I are two idiots making this up on the spot.
Oh, boy.
Can we also beat this into the ground, because we did it with Adam Thielen when he was undrafted, and we did it, Jefferson, okay, put the Eagles pass him. Josh Dobbs is a fucking rocket scientist, all right? He's smarter than us. He's in 4.0 and what is it, astronomical engineering or whatever. He's very smart. So this is
I looked up how long the head coach has to talk to the quarterback. Best case scenario, you've got about 30 seconds that I can talk to you before the microphone cuts off. Now, you can't talk back to me. That the headset only goes one way.
I'm gonna mute myself.
So you can't ask me any questions. And also, we have the extra benefit of I'm looking at you through a camera, so I can tell if you're confused. You got to remember, they're on the sideline. They're not looking at one another either. So I'm going to start a 30-second timer. The first one we're going to do is like the baby version of an NFL play call. We might be able to get this one off. The second one, I found an actual play call from Sean McVay from the Rams last year that is an actual NFL play call that I don't even know if I can get the whole thing off in 30 seconds. So that one's going to be fantastic. But we're going to try the first one. So I'm going to do 3, 2, 1, click start, and then we're going to go on this. So I'm going to say the play, you're going to repeat it, and then I'm going to explain it to you. Got it?
Got it.
So we're going to go 3, 2, 1. Double right 200 jet dragon.
Double right 200 jet dragon.
So that's a 2x2 formation with your tight end on your right. Your running back is pass blocking. If they don't send an extra defender, he's releasing. Your receivers are running a slant fade concept. And we actually got 10 seconds left. on that one. So
I forgot the play call already. Hopefully it's on my wristband.
Yeah, hopefully it's on your little wristband.
We can
So
go out there.
that's like the baby version. Oh, see, there's our timer. That's like the baby version of what they were doing. I'm assuming they probably pared it down a little bit for that. And now, do you want to try this with an actual NFL play?
All right, yeah, let's try it.
This is the Sean McVay play call. So this is from the last year's Rams playbook. I'm gonna see if I can get through this in 30 seconds. Lens to deuce right claw, Z short, lander, Z strong, X revo, 2 lockback, can 2 jet, X Monday, Astro read alert, money deacon, flow F Panama on the Omaha. Go.
Nope. Nope. I
That
got the first like 4 syllables, and then you had like 13.
See what
more
they need
after
on the
that.
wrist thing is like a little screen so they can send through pictures like on Madden.
Yeah. I mean, listen to that. Lens to deuce, right claw, Z short, lander, Z strong, X revo, 2 lockback, can 2 jet, X Monday, Astro read alert, money deacon, flow F Panama on the Omaha. That is absolutely insane that those guys can remember any of that.
I think in a day you could probably memorize that one play, but here's the problem. We're talking about, and I'm being serious here, is we're talking about how everything's pressed for time. It's not that if this could flow like baseball used to flow where there's no timers, everyone got set, and everybody got time to get water, and everybody had time to substitute, a lot of guys would look a lot better. But because it's timed, that adds the pressure and the stress, right? How in the fuck do you get that off in the 30 seconds to get set for everything?
So if you did a real trimmed down version, like double right 200 jet dragon, that's doable. I mean, that seems doable that like you could pick up and do that. And like, hey, if you don't know part of it, like I can go through it quick. I have no idea how you would do a full NFL play like what we just read and expect anyone to like that is extremely difficult what they pulled off.
Yeah, it's just a testament. And you know what? You know where my brain goes immediately to this, Kyle? Our beloved, and thank you, Adam, for introducing me to this lovely woman, Katie Nolan. I still love you so much. She had something on Twitter a few years ago where these guys were talking shit about kickers, and she pulled their tweets, and so she flew them in and didn't tell them what it was for. She made them try to attempt a field goal, and it's just the funniest thing watching these guys fail. And they all got a big slice of humble pie. I wish in the offseason they would take the top 10 just shittiest people on social media, fly them out, put them in a real game situation, and kind of just jackass them where Jared Allen comes out of nowhere and now your ribs are separated. Thanks for now. You promise to shut the fuck up now? All right.
You see, they kind of got a version of that coming back. Like they had that show Pros versus Joes for a while. And now they got a new version of that coming out, so that'll be interesting.
And this isn't anything against any of the guys on that show, but to think like I've never seen it, so I don't know what caliber of play. You have college, XFL, semi-pro, professional, whatever, retired guys. Even if you just had guys from the XFL coming out playing against the average person on the street, they would make you look like dog shit. And we need that type of bullying back in this country because people are way too. Like I saw it today on Facebook, and I didn't reply to it, which I don't know why I'm saying that with pride because I shouldn't look at him regardless. But somebody said something about Justin Jefferson today. It was like, oh, poor little baby. He's got a boo-boo. And I'm like, sir, the thing that I want to say, I can't say on the show because it is absolutely fucked up, and I don't want to have that on the internet forever. Maybe I'll type it in the chat. But just to say something so stupid and ignorant like that. And it's like, bro, this guy he could buy your business right now. First of all, wherever you work, he can buy it. Then he could be your boss. He could probably do your job better with training than you can. But like I said earlier, you can't do these guys' jobs. I'm putting this all back to what we just did. That's one play. How many plays do you think an NFL playbook has these days?
4?
About that thick.
It depends how big's the index card.
That's a good point. They were small yesterday. You guys notice that?
They were.
They were slimmed down for Jaron Hall. But yeah, to learn that whole thing, I mean, it's crazy to think this is what these guys do day in and day out, and they obsess over it. And I think it's funny when you hear a guy like Kurt Warner, who's an analyst now, he can still remember stuff from the Super Bowl year and the greatest show on turf. And it's like, hey, can you tell us like what play was your favorite in the Super Bowl? And he spit it out like that. It's like, that's crazy to me to think that's what these guys do day in and day out.
Was it McVay that were asking about plays he ran like years ago that he was just rattling off?
Rattling like that. Just like that. That's incredible. These guys are very good and very specific.
I mean, when I was looking at how long that play call was, it's like that's astonishing that you can remember that and you can get that off under pressure in the middle of a game with fans everywhere, and you can get your players lined up. And it really makes, as a fan, you sit here when there's like there's an offsides penalty and you get pissed off. And why the fuck did you jump that early? That kind of makes you give them a little bit more benefit of the doubt for like, that maybe that's why.
But you can also simplify things a lot and be like, okay, X drag, Y streak, tight end slant,
Yeah.
And that alone can help a quarterback with that basic terminology, help to know what's coming, even though it isn't, very descriptive. It's basic enough to know what's happening.
It makes me wonder how much they trimmed back the verbiage for, Dobbs and for Hall. Right. Because, the rest of the players on the field are all professionals as well, too. I'm assuming you could cut the verbiage back to a lot simpler version of it, and they would all should obviously know what they're doing, right?
And it's not like Dobbs has not been around other offenses where he can pick up other language used. So I'm assuming he did have some understanding of what was going on and all that. But I mean, still, to walk into that situation and play the way he did, very commendable.
Like I said, to get a play call through your headset and be like, I'm going to read it for everyone else. And then, Kevin O'Connell, you explain it to me really quick within 30 seconds. And then to execute the play, like that's difficult.
As Smith would say, he would FedEx him some flowers or something like that. I don't know. Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, and going back to what we were saying, like not appreciating what these guys do. This is the most basic stuff, but we don't take into account and effect enough, and talk about it as often as we should. These are gigantic humans for the most part. Most of these guys outside of the receivers and the corners, they are all bigger than the average person in the U.S. You wouldn't say something like that to their face because they would put you in a wheelchair pretty easily, I might add. Like, I couldn't imagine somebody saying something to Brian O'Neill. I watched him walk across the bench at the Panthers game this year, and I was like, holy fuck, that guy is massive. And it's just one of those, like, open palm smack, probably dislocate my jaw if he put a lot of power into it.
Oh, yeah.
People talk all this stuff about these players. It's like, oh, you don't know what you're doing. You suck, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I would love for you to get in a game and to have like Myles Garrett come running after you. Because we'll do the NFL. They call it soft. I'm going to say it's a little soft. The rules on hitting quarterbacks now. This isn't back in the day when John Randall would literally separate your head from your shoulders.
Oh, yeah.
They have to like kind of aim and land a little bit differently. Even one of those, you guys wouldn't be able to function for like a month straight because something would feel off in your body with Myles Garrett coming after or Aaron Donald. You see what Geno Smith did this season when he ran at him? He said, oh, shit. Like, threw it out.
Oh, no.
That's a pro quarterback who's like 6'4", and he's like, oh, shit, I got to get out of this guy's way. Has to be said that this is all pretty centered around Kevin O'Connell and Josh Dobbs. What happened yesterday should not have went that way for us as a team and fans and all that, but this is one you got to hold on to for a while. I'm like, hey, you remember the day that the folklore of Josh Dobbs started? That wasn't that crazy.
I do want to give some credit to Garrett Bradbury and Ed Ingram, who both have been playing quite well the last couple of weeks. I know I've said this on the show before, but I can't believe that it's possible that Ed Ingram changing his cleats out might have made that huge of a difference in his gameplay.
I should ask Turtle about that. That's hilarious.
Something's working right for him.
Because
Well,
ever since
also,
that
too-
change, he has been much better.
Also, too, having Risner in there, like Twitter finally bullied the GM into making a good decision because Twitter doesn't have a lot of those, but it happened, and
Bullying
he's been
works.
playing pretty. He's been playing pretty good, which in turn will make Garrett Bradbury play good, which will in turn make Ed Ingram play good. It's crazy what happens when one of those guys is like above average. But I got to give credit too, like you said, Adam, dude, for everything that we said over the years, like, oh, Garrett Bradbury is what he is. He's having the best season of his career now.
He is.
He's playing like he wants to stay here, which is pretty awesome. So love that. Ed Ingram's on a rookie deal, so I don't have to worry about him for another 2 or 3 years. So
He's playing up to what he probably should have been to start things off. This is what I'm more expected from him. I'd like to see him be a little bit more of a mauler in the run game.
Yep.
Getting more push off, but for what he's doing right now, I can't be a major complainer.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, man. I like what we're seeing from him and the offensive line in general. They're playing very well. A top 10 unit in the league, which is pretty awesome. We went over these, but I'll go over them one more time. There's 8 games left. New Orleans at home, at Denver, Chicago at home, 2 road games in Vegas and Cincy, ending the year out with 3 division games. Detroit and Green Bay in Minnesota, and then week 18, they will be at Detroit. A couple night games sprinkled in there, 3 night games actually, which is kind of weird for us to get that kind of love. But as Adam stated earlier, can't be noted, we are 2-0 in the division, and you still have 2 games at home in division games. So this division is rightfully up for grabs, and it will be, in my opinion, up until
and those 2 home division games are at the end of the schedule.
Yeah, it's pretty well. Let me take that back. 3 home division games. We've only played 2 games, and they've both been on the road. So you have November 27th, New Year's Eve, and Christmas Eve, all in U.S. Bank, and that's all division games. So they still have 3 home division games, and man, I'm excited for this. This team could turn around and get double-digit wins after starting.
Yeah, it's
0-3.
wild to think that this is a team that now can look at themselves and say, we are a playoff contender. And when things opened so bad and people were talking about tanking, I hate talk about tanking because I never want to watch a bad Vikings season, but I also do want good seasons in the future. So it's a hard topic to talk about. It really is. But I mean, I am happy to see this team finding success and creating that winning culture with the new GM and head coach.
My buddy David is in here. What's up, dude? Glad to see you back. Yeah, we touched on it, man. We talked about the last week when Kirk went down. There were not some good names that we thought about having to look at for quarterback because everyone's taken, and it was, rush for the deadline. Ultimately, they made a smart move for not a lot of draft capital at all. They basically swapped Ezra Cleveland for Josh Dobbs, which is pretty sweet. But the running back market's not very good either. I personally think they're just going to have to roll with what they have. Maybe they elevate Dwayne McBride if he's still on the practice squad.
He is.
I mentioned Myles Gaskin. Apparently he's somewhere else. So you just need to do what you have, what you can with what you have on the roster and say, hey, look, we're going to see some Ty Chandler. We're going to see some Keenan Nwangwu. We're going to see Dwayne McBride at times. We all agreed, and I have to give Adam the credit here because of the way he verbalized it and his thought, but
we're going to see Adrian Peterson. We're going to see David Johnson.
No, we're not. Don't do
Cadillac Williams.
But to answer your question, David, yes, I want to see more Ty Chandler as well. This can't be just an eccentric one-man show that is Alexander Mattison. He has not cut the mustard, as they say. They have to do a committee approach where they evenly distribute the ball. I think that gives them the best chance. We all agree. And we want to see Madison succeed. I said it maybe 10 minutes ago. If he has a 180-yard game on the ground, I would be the first guy to come out and be like, I'm eating my crow. Thank you. You are awesome, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But up until this point, he has been massively underwhelming to be a RB1 in the league. He's probably the second worst in the league because we are 31st in the rush. That was a nice stat they put up there yesterday. And it was like, oh, that's not good. So, yeah. Wes, let's get your comment up before we start to wrap the show up. My thought on tanking is, why would anyone pay to go watch games if you plan on losing? That's my thought. Here's another thing we don't take into consideration. Wes, you are 100% right. Go tell the players putting their bodies on the line that practice all week. You're like, hey, go out and suck and be bad and maybe don't get a future in the league because you played shitty this whole season. So you
Well, I
won't get
don't
to
think
go
they tell
anywhere
the players
else.
to sandbag or anything like that. The coaches just makes the decision and be like, okay, Justin Jefferson, we're going to take you out. Get another Lucky Jackson. No offense to Lucky Jackson.
Little offense to him. Little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Sorry, you're not Justin Jefferson there, Lucky Jackson.
But you're right, man. If these guys don't play well, they are at risk because we're in such we just talked about it earlier with Bryce Young and how everybody's like, oh, he sucks. He's a bust already. We barely played half of a season of NFL football. The jury's out for him. But thinking about Josh Freeman is the way to tank. That's such a good comment. But this is the way to think about it. These guys want to play in the league for a long time. Number one, this is an opportunity to make a shitload of money, more than you're going to make in most industries. It's a fun way to make money. They have a passion for it. They're the top percentile of humans that can play this certain sport. If you go out there and suck and you're just like Detroit 0-17 bad, who's going to pick you up next year? Is that team going to keep rolling? You're not winning on that team. Well, I'll go out in free agency. Weren't you a part of that team that didn't win a fucking game? So did you stand out? You were the only good option on that team. Yeah, we'll take a flyer on you. You're certainly not going to make a max contract unless you're Calvin Johnson. And I don't think he was on that 0-17 team. He might have been. But the point being, why would anybody tank? Like, why? There's no positive anywhere for it other than, oh, well, we're going to get the top draft pick. Newsflash, and I said this on social media yesterday, just because you get the first overall pick doesn't mean you're going to hit. The draft is a lottery. Look at how many quarterbacks have went 1 and 2, and out of 3 of those instances where 1 and 2 were quarterbacks, 2 of them were good, and the other 4 were not good.
Yeah,
that sucks. For the flip side of that, from where it is now, and I talked a lot of shit about him, but I'm going to be a good human. Daniel Jones, I think, has an ACL tear, and I wish him a speedy recovery. Hate that. We'd never root for injuries on the show. We're not classless.
It's DeVito time.
It's DeVito time. He is the most New York looking and sounding quarterback you could see. Right now, the New York Giants have the number 1 pick, and they are Caleb Williams. If you want to play in a big market, you got your wish coming up because I think he's very much better than Daniel Jones. But that means Chicago would have 2 and 3 right now, and they would take Drake May, which would make me want to put my fist through the wall, and then Marvin Harrison Jr., which is even more frustrating because
Chicago will screw that up. Chicago will screw it up.
But I mean, Daniel Jones just signed a 4-year extension, didn't he?
They can get out of it after next year, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I talked a lot of shit about that contract, but what New York did, because they don't even trust him that much, they gave him 2 years worth of money, and then by 2025, they can cut him. They can get rid of him. They're not going to be in that cap hell situation that we always talk about the Vikings always being in somehow. But
hey, if Russell Wilson can play quarterback, why not Danny DeVito?
It's so bad. Oh, man. Well, for all of you guys that stuck around, we've been talking for an hour and 15 minutes. This obviously was going to have some juice. We had a lot of people in the chat and a lot of people watching. What an incredible game by Josh Dobbs, Kevin O'Connell, the team just rallying yesterday on the road. Yeah, let's see what they can do. They have
5-4 Minnesota Vikings through nine games.
It's crazy.
Happy.
Andrew's got some good. He's always got the gold when he comes in.
I am happy to announce that there was not a single strike handed out in the Survival League this week. Most people picked the Cleveland Browns, which is kind of surprising that they were the popular pick and it hit. But,
see what I know the formula. I'm not going to give it away, but if you notice something about that's consistent, that's what I've been doing most of the year. Not going to give that away.
I will also toot my own horn a little bit. I have gotten every single money line outcome right so far this week, and if the Chargers win tonight, I will have swept the week and I will be a happy guy.
That Adam, I'm not a bettor, but I always watch like McAfee or Colin Cowherd. They always update every week, like this person did this person went blah blah. Do you know how unheard of it is to get all of them right? Right. The fact that you at worst you'll only have one wrong, you've already statistically you're a unicorn.
I am so proud of that. I'm happy.
You should be.
But yeah, Josh Dobbs is going to get the start next week, and it'll be interesting to see if he can continue this kind of motivation and what he can do when he actually has some time to work from the team, take some snaps from the center, and get to know his receivers a little bit.
Going to see who the Saints have lost to. The NFC South is very, very bad. I'll let you guys filibuster, and I'm going to let Adam promote. You guys should check it out. Adam had some good points before this game. He had some very good points. I looked at that article, and it was pretty good and pretty spot on.
The takeaways article from the game on Sunday came out this morning, and I also released an article on the Cam Akers injury, talking about what that could mean for the team and how the Vikings might approach recovering some of the production that he will leave the Vikings needing. But yeah, I've got content coming out over there quite a bit over the next week because one of my coworkers is taking a little bit of a break while his wife is doing some things. So, I'll be putting out a couple more articles over there on the Viking Age. If you could go click on them a few times, that would make my day. I'd appreciate that a lot. And also, I'm on Twitch and nearly every social media outlet at MN Viking Zombie. That's where you can find me. I am on X and Instagram and TikTok and trying to get on pretty much most of them. I'm on Threads, but I don't go on there really. But I said it at the beginning of the show. I'm going to repeat it now. If you guys could go over to Spotify and leave us a review. I believe you have to listen to at least one episode in full to leave a review. That's why I haven't, because I don't want to hear me. But otherwise, I'd like you guys to do it, please. That's all I got.
I'm looking now. The first place in the NFC South, New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
They have lost to Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Houston, and Jacksonville.
They're not good against the Bays.
They have won against the Titans, the Panthers, the Patriots, the Colts, and the Bears. So they haven't beaten very many good teams.
I haven't seen an update at all on KJ Osborne. Have you guys?
No, I have not.
No.
I want to say he was just kind of knocked out and then walked off the field. I think he's fine.
KJ Osborne, update 3 hours ago on the Sun. Viking star breaks the silence. Yeah, he did. And what's crazy is they were going after these hard hits like old school football yesterday. And I noticed some of the Falcon players hurting their own players because they didn't time it right. Which
Andrew, I write it that way on purpose. I write it like I'm having a conversation with the reader. That's the way I write my articles, and I want to have that conversational tone, like you're sitting down with someone talking about football. That's the way I write.
The Viking star took a helmet-to-helmet hit. This is from thesun.com, the-sun. Osborne and his teammate, Jaron Hall, ruled out due to concussions. Wide receiver took to his Instagram to provide an update. This is 3 hours ago. This article was written. Okay. I appreciate the calls and texts. I am okay. God is good always.
There we go.
He is responding well to protocol, according to Kevin O'Connell, who was on Pat McAfee today. It was a good interview. Go check that out. I watched that before the show
I'll have to watch that tonight.
Yeah, they called him right back. They just had him on last week because Kirk went down. Coach is doing coach things because he has to be professional and all that. Then they called him right back after that game. They're like, "Yo, holy shit, what a day!" And he was pretty pumped to be back. I love that Pat McAfee shows all the love to the Vikings because he's had Thielen on, he's had Jefferson on, Kirk multiple times, Kevin O'Connell multiple times, Harrison Smith multiple times. Love that for this team. Yeah, thanks. Thank you for asking. I wanted to know too. I just didn't take the time to look it up, but
yeah, because there were quite a few guys that got banged up in that game, and it's nice to know that not all of them are heading to IR.
Yeah, thank God. Kyle West, plug away. You guys go stalk him on social media and go.
Yep, you can find me over on Blue Sky at Vaguely Square. That's my handle. Follow me there. I share some of my photography work and chat football and anything else. So give me a follow and we will chit chat. Smith, do you remember the first play call I gave you?
I know for sure there was a slant in there.
Double right,
triple banana, something like that.
Double right, 200 jet dragon.
Just kidding. When I said slant, I meant dragon. That's exactly what I meant. What's up, Adder? Thank you for joining. I know you got the time difference. What a game. What a crazy game. We went over.
By the way,
a lot
we
of
do
stuff.
still go live in our Discord channel during games to talk. So if you guys ever want to join in there, let us know. We'll send you the link.
Hey, Adder, this is the perfect time for us to promote this for you. I hate to do business talk with you. Go back and watch the show in full when it's over and done. Wherever you choose, whatever's easiest. Give it a like. Subscribe if you're not on YouTube and Facebook and all that. I know this is business talk. We were doing it at the beginning of the show. We need a review on Spotify because on Apple Podcasts, we have many throughout the years, like almost, I think, 10. But we don't have any on Spotify. So if you want to listen to it in full on there and then give us a review.
Yeah, if we can get a couple of reviews on Spotify, we might be able to reach a little bit bigger of an audience and get some more people in here and get the Purple People podcast gang growing.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in before we promote Kyle because you guys are so nice to me and makes me feel all the warm and fuzzies. Promote selling the house. Yeah, if you want to buy a house in Clover, South Carolina, my house is for sale. It is staged. It is primed and ready. We had a showing today. I would love that because paying for 2 mortgages or a rent and mortgage at the same time is not fun for my wallet.
I've heard it has a great sitting porch.
It does have a great front porch, let me tell you. We did some updates underneath. There was just the guts of the roof. Now it's vinyl. There's 3 lights. There's security lights on 3 sides of the house. There's cameras. There's all kinds of stuff we did some upgrades on. And
you can sit out there and drink your sweet tea.
Man, if sweet tea could get you drunk, I would stay fucked up. Let me tell you.
I am not a sweet tea guy, but I know people in the South there love it.
This is a great one, man. Thank you for asking this. I actually started my demos this weekend. My producer is a good longtime friend of mine from back home in North Carolina, and he asked me to record videos of me playing so he could see note for note and chord progression of what I'm doing. So we are in the infant stages of this, but it is absolutely this is my 2024 musical coming out year. So I'm very excited because I get to put art out in the world and it'll be on a server that'll outlast humanity in time. And I made it. And I thank you for asking about it. That makes
I got a suggestion for you. Maybe you should just be like Taylor Swift and become a billionaire.
You know,
yeah, have you tried that?
I don't know why I didn't think of that.
That's billion with a B. She's a billionaire.
Why not?
Have you tried dating Travis Kelce?
I would date Travis Kelce if I could become a millionaire.
It seems like a pretty good career move.
You know, Jason Kelce seems like a lot of fun.
Dude, I hate that. I'm such a celebrity whore. I am. I love Jason Kelce's wife. I have such a crush on her. She looks like she runs that house, and it's crazy because him being a big burly offensive lineman, she's like, get your shit together. Don't bring that fan to the hospital when I give birth. That was a good show, man. You guys,
hey, you got to find yourself an NFL cheerleader there, Smith.
Oh, I know. Find an NFL today.
Man, they probably don't make the kind of money that starting tight end does, but probably does all right.
Yeah. Maybe they get me some perks, and maybe we could like the same team, and she actually likes football, and we can go to the games. I'll get back to promoting. We're not going to talk about my non-existent love life. Kyle West, here is your link for people to go purchase some of your things.
Photography work, you can check it out at kylewest84.picfair.com. That's PICFAIR.com. Check it out. Help me share it on social media, Twitter, or whatever they call that platform these days, or anywhere else, really.
I'll give it to you.
My handle for social media is at NCDogDude on X or Twitter, whatever you'd like to call it, or Instagram. Find me there.
So you're an NC dog? Or
dude.
You just like NC dogs?
You always throw me off with this dry humor, Adam. I don't know what to say to it.
Call you Glizzy Kyle?
Thank you so much. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about a place that I wish was still in existence, but isn't. Back in 2012, I had the pleasure in the military to go to Chicago for about 2 weeks. And shout out to my buddy James Hart. If you like hard rock or metal, go check out 18 Visions and his old band Burn Halo. I'm a big fan of them. He's like, hey, dude, Chicago's my stomping ground. You got to go to Hot Dogs. Hot dog establishment in Chicago. And I had I think a kielbasa and then a duck dog. It was duck meat.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible. They had alligator meat. They had a hamburger hot dog, which obviously sounds amazing.
But you are not supposed to put ketchup on it.
Yeah. No, I do mustard. They have it's a
They
place
will
in New
yell
York
at you
I've
if you
been
put
to.
ketchup on a hot dog.
Well, they can yell at me down here all they want. I'm still going to do it. But for that time in that setting, I know how to blend in with everyone, and I did not use ketchup. There are some good spots in Brooklyn that I ate when I visited Brooklyn a couple years ago. They have their own special sauce there, and I could just drink it like people in the Midwest like to drink ranch. So that's it. I would love to talk about hot dogs, but we're going on an hour and a half.
Yeah, we could keep talking hot dogs just for the rest of the hour, and it would just be weird. We could talk hot dogs and then Girl Scout cookies.
That'll be in the Patreon account.
I love this
Purple
so
People
much.
Podcast Patreon.
Josh Dobbs just got a Hemi Award. He's him. I love that.
I gotta admit, I don't know Hemi Awards. I've not really watched a Monday Night Countdown yet this year, I don't think.
You know, with the Vikings playing the Niners, I want to go back and watch the Manning cast and see what they're talking about because they'll give Kirk his flowers. There you go.
Heyo.
Aaron Rodgers and
FedEx them to him.
Let's see.
By the way, FedEx drivers are the absolute worst. UPS is fine. Postal Service cool. What are FedEx drivers doing?
This show is not sponsored by FedEx.
I have never gotten
you blew our FedEx sponsorship, Adam.
My house FedEx ever.
I have a good experience with them this year.
You do?
Only one. They delivered my couch because it came in 2 boxes, and I still had to carry it upstairs. So I had to take my couch apart in my foyer downstairs and carry it up piece by piece. But they got it here on time.
My couch to my neighbor's house across the street.
I remember you said that.
Stupid FedEx.
All right, guys. I'm going to let Adam sign us off. Thank you, guys.
Once
Viking
again, thanks
Saints.
for visiting us here. It's been great. I remember to get your picks in for the Survival League, and please go leave us some kind of review over on Spotify. That would be amazing. I do want to thank everyone once again. It's so nice to have you here chatting. It makes this so much fun, and this hour and a half flew by with you guys here, so thank you so much. We'll be back next week. Remember, hit us up if you want a link to the Discord. We'll get you in there. Talk every game. We're usually there live, at least a few of us. And we'll be back to talk about that game against the Saints here next week. So we'll see you then. In the meantime, stay classy.